Hello, everybody. Oh, not awake yet. Okay, I'm going to try this. This is off script because I was told and warned that after lunch, people have food coma, right? Yeah, so some people not. So, do you remember in our first panel, I can't remember can't remember already. One of the panelists said that you need to take care of your health. Was it you? Yeah. Okay. So you need to take care of the health of the people. Oh no, there was the lady's here, Ms. Delane. She said you need to take care of your staff, right? And make sure that they are okay and they are happy, right? So there is one traditional song, and maybe Moses, you can hold the mic while I sing the song, okay? So I see whether you are familiar, see whether you're awake up, okay? So follow along if you know the song. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Okay, very good. Now you sing. You sing, okay? Ready? Yeah, nod your head now, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. If you're happy and you know it, nod your head. Toing, toing. If you're happy and you know it, nod your head. Toing, toing. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, nod your head. Toing, toing. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. I now know this generation is my generation. This generation look a bit lost. Like, don't know what song, but like that follow. Peer pressure. Take note, keyword today, peer pressure. Now, welcome everybody to our Breakout 1. We're talking about substance abuse. So I look around and I wonder, why are you all here? I say the same thing to my colleagues behind, and I'm like, we're from Boys Town. And I said, Boys Town, we need more behavioral. Quick, why are you here? Then they're like, no choice, because sent here. Then I see another 3 of my staff here. And I think it's called We Divide and Conquer. So at the end of this conference, Boys Town will have good knowledge of how to handle the behavioral and the substance. So welcome to the substance unit. So I have with me people in the expert field, right? Chris, whom actually you know, he does NAMS, he does everything government. Okay, so he has the 1711. Don't buy 4D, yeah?
It's 1771.
Oh, sorry. Testing. Don't buy 4D, okay? Today, I think it's not 4D number. Tomorrow, then buy.
You know why you say 1711?
Why?
Because you're a certain era vintage where you call 1711 for the time.
Oh my goodness, that's true.
Yeah.
My era one. If you dial 1711, the time now is 8:34. So at that time, people who were depressed, before IMH had the hotline, the Mind Line, everyone called 1711. Because you always get a response. When they did away with 1711, government will pay more money to do Mind Line. Right? So this is how we have grown now. Okay, we have grown. So again, those who don't understand, never mind, you just pretend to laugh along because peer pressure. You all look very silly if you don't laugh, okay? So we are trying to educate. I guess what we want to do today at this breakout is really to inform, to educate, as well as to understand a little bit more of what happens in the world of a recovering, somebody with substance abuse recovery, okay? I don't know how to put that in. Yeah, so I don't know why we sit like that. It's not to purposely, you know. So I have Mr. Vijay. Mr. Vijay does, you want to say what you, we decided we'll do it very organic. So we didn't like do chat GPT, you know, we're the real thing, okay? So all wrong means wrong already. Come, Mr. Vijay. We'll do organic conversation.
All right, hi everybody, good afternoon, welcome back. I didn't expect such a big crowd. Huh? You know, we are normally intimidated whenever the crowd size is very big. All right, coming from enforcement, I talk about intimidation. Okay.
What do you do?
All right, so I used to be a civil servant. Servant more, civil less. All right? I think altogether I served something like 40 years in law enforcement. And I used to be on the opposite side of the fence, which means that I was chasing people to lock them up. Now, I'm on the other side, across the fence after retiring. Probably it's karma. All right, now I have to save people from being locked up. right? So it's a 180-degree change, but it's all for the better because as you grow in the job, you realize that addiction is not linear, right? It's so multifaceted, just like government policies are, government approaches are multi-pronged. It's so multifaceted. There is no one single solution for how to bring down or how to help somebody who is addicted. So this morning session was actually very, very informative and insightful for a simple reason. It explains the great complexity and difficulty involved in anyone who is engaged, be it law enforcement, be it rehabilitation in terms of prisons officers, or the wider community, that is all of you, all right, who are doing your level best to try and hope that this person will change. Whether he or she will change is again up in the air. It's the toss of the coin, all right? After he or she leaves you, when they're on their own. So it's not so much how they behave or what they demonstrate when you're around with them, it's what they will do when you are not around. So I think for us, or to me, that's a very, very important lesson for which there's no solution per se. We're still grappling with it. That's why now I sit in the management committee of the Halfway House by courtesy of Mr. Kenny. I was asked to come here, all right? Not that I'm unhappy, I'm very happy.
Bonus big.
Yeah, because he's still here. Right? But it goes to show, you know, actually the root causes are many, the solutions are also many, but the eventual outcome is one. And that is how to get this person to walk straight and keep drugs at bay, right?
Okay, thank you. So he has done the summary of what he's going to say. Later on, we will reinforce, because again, we learn, right? Gabriel was saying, tell them again and again and again and again and again and again. So this is what we're trying to do, to reinforce it a little bit more. So Halfway House, okay, and then forced here, no lah, invited here by Kenny. Next, Chris, tell us what you do. Tell us what we don't know. We already know you do lamps and all that. Tell us what you do.
Okay, so of course I'm shamelessly going to promote 1771 to especially all the mental health workers here. I heard there are MOE school counselors in the audience. What I want to tell you, all you MOE school counselors, is that my call center do your job when you all are on school holidays now. You know, my call center volume, I'm handling 280 calls and texts a day now, every day at the National Center. Then December and June, walao, the thing go up by
the word lao cannot use here.
Huh?
Not
Better
allowed.
loud than the other one.
Wapiang can.
Yeah, wapiang. My call volume jumped another 20% because all the kids don't have your tender loving care. Then go and call us. You see. So I mean, it is what it is, lah. So I, besides my 1771, government commissioned the National Addictions Management Service to do the K-pot thing. So we run the mandated program for adult K-pots recovery. We've already got about 200 cases since we started in 1st of September. So it tells you how much, how big the problem is. And I tell you, 200 is a tip of the iceberg. The reason is because it accommodates the K-pot thing. Runs out your body very, very fast. Within hours, the K-pot is flushed out your body. Then government cannot get the urine sample to convict that, not say convict, to send them to my center, you see. So those people that were sent to our center, they happen to have to get the urine sample. There are many others out there, but because they cannot get the so-called urine sample, that's why they cannot send them for rehabilitation. That's the reality. Yeah.
Thank you. Then what about those pictures of, you know, the people singing, walk like that? Based on that kind of physical evidence, is it okay? I mean, can we catch them based on that and send them to you?
So the other way is that if they happen to be caught with the e-cigarette or this K-pot thing, if they take the pot inside the e-cigarette and they test it and it's positive for etomidate, that's another avenue for sending them to my center.
Instagram fame people who do K-pot, can we use that as evidence?
Cannot.
Okay, take
Because
note.
that can be alcohol, ma.
Take note. So parents cannot take this and go to him and go, hey, excuse me, see my son walk like that, K-pot.
I mean, we have actually parents writing to my hospital say, please do something, please do something, please do something. Then every time they say police come, then police cannot do anything. It's because they tried to do something, but then they washed out. They washed out the body. No.
But I don't think you should tell them that because parents are going to come to urine sample.
Huh? No,
Parents
no.
are going to make the children pee fast. Quick, go and pee now.
So this is another problem. We have something called chain of evidence. We have something called chain of evidence. That means we must be sure that that sample comes from this person, is not tampered with and all that. So even the urine sample at my hospital is not good enough for chain of evidence.
What about hair? Okay, it's divert now. What about hair?
Oh yeah,
Is it the hair follicle? If you take drugs,
Yes.
for all of you take magic mushroom, go Bali, you apparently like I cannot say who. Somebody told me 5 days. You stay 5 days, it will come out. When you test your hair follicle, you won't see the drug. True or
No
false?
lah, that's false lah.
False.
So what they do in hair sample can go back months. You think you had that dirty weekend in Bali, it's over. That's not true, okay? Because what CNV does, and he can confirm, is that they take a hair sample, then they chop. The nearer it is to the root, the nearer it is to today's date. The far, all of us, hopefully you all grow your hair 1 cm, 1 or 1.5 cm per month, right? Hopefully, if you still have hair.
I look at my hair, you can tell I haven't done my hair yet. See?
Yeah. So depends on which segment that they chop is test positive. They can agak put the date to when you consume.
Vijay, you wanted to say something
Correct, no?
about the hair one? Girl hair very long.
So we are very used to urine tests, right? Urine analysis tests. Then when we came out with the hair analysis test, suddenly we found that a lot of our addicts were walking around bald-headed.
Yeah.
Oh, my organization got one.
So we thought that Hollywood will have no
Have
problem
the
finding
test
another Yul Brynner.
Hey, don't like that.
And-
We must be very kind. Later you run
remember-
away.
Moses is an exception. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, not just
Genetic.
bald-headed, because the drug goes to every hair follicle on your body. Okay, it's not just
Okay.
bald-headed.
I'm safe.
But usually for decency's sake, we only take from the head.
Only, it's true. Every
Yeah.
every hair follicle. Every.
Okay. Anyway,
Every.
the drugs, you see, urine test shows recency of use or abuse. Hair test shows a pattern of abuse. So it can stay in your head, in your body, through the hair for 3 months. So we can test you for as long. Please don't go and share this outside. But that's the length to which we will go to establish that if you come and say, oh, my drinks were laced, my cigarette was laced, and I'm not an abuser, I'm not a smoker, fair enough. Friend, I believe you, let's put it to the test. Then we take a patch of your hair, send it to HSA. HSA upon analysis will say, this fella is a deep or heavy abuser. So it will show. So then all your claims is demolished. So that's where I think in Singapore, there is a consistency and a persistency in terms of how we establish evidence. And so all the claims by foreigners to say that, we are not subjecting you to fair rights and fair assessment, I think it's all misplaced. And let me tell you that Singapore is probably the only country where we have a universality in terms of our approach. In other words, anyone and everyone who is arrested on suspicion of drug abuse will be subjected to a urine test. And based on the urine test, you can actually then, while it's still pending analysis by HSA, urine test in terms of the prelim test in the CNB, we have a machine that will show positive. All right? And then, based on that, the director can actually commit you to undergo treatment and rehabilitation for a period of 2 weeks. The 2 weeks is actually what we call cold turkey. Right? So that's the time where we try to wean the effect of the drug on your body and normalize you. Because until then, every drug addict lives on the basis that he is surviving on the fact that he can get the next fix, the next jab, all right? Or the next smoke. Now, there, doctors are observing you. If, of course, there is danger to life, they will intervene. But otherwise, we make you go through that painful episode of cold turkey in order to establish in your mind the fact that this is not something you want to play around with anymore. So there's nothing, what do you call it, demonic about it, or nothing that we are sadies, you know, right? Cold turkey is an essential component of actually hoping that the positive effect of that experience would be, you'll acquire the right lesson through that experience. Okay. So that's where I think when we share this with overseas guys, what they tell you is that this is impossible to do. How can you just subject a person on the basis of urine test to undergo cold turkey? So they're all talking nonsense. Why? Because they only have anecdotal experience of dealing with 200 people or 300 people. I tell them, no, we have been doing this for 50 years, you know, since 1971. Some of you are not even born, right? And we have been consistently doing this and improving ourselves. And mind you, in Singapore, we are all very lucky, especially our drug abusers. Nobody dies of overdose. Why? Because you are arrested sooner rather than later.
Okay. I sense the rehabilitation. Do you see now all those people all put their vape inside. You know, 1 or 2 people put the smoking thing already. But I think that's how Singapore approaches it, right, compared to another country. So I was looking at the corner of my eye, because as he talks, right, I don't know whether he cannot traumatize or not. So as a clinical psychologist, I just need to make sure that he doesn't act up, you know. So we're going to have Moses talk a little bit about who he is and what he's currently doing.
Yeah, so currently I'm studying counseling in James Cook.
Good university.
Yeah, I think my lecturer is here today also.
Where?
Dr. Roland. Roland, yeah.
Oh,
So
Dr. Roland.
I'm in his class now, and right now I have 6 months left to finish my counseling masters, and then I finished my practicum already. Yeah.
Congratulations! Round of applause. I think you can have a job 1771. School holiday. They need people to pick up the telephone.
I already offered him job.
Yeah,
already.
thank you
Right.
so much, Dr. Chok, for offering me a job
So
today.
all those people on school holiday, nothing better to do. Please sign up, volunteer.
If you want to, we accept interns and all that at 1771.
Okay, counseling interns, please spread the word. Spread the word. See, I help you, you know.
Thank you.
So half an hour is gone. Yeah, don't feel right. Very good, right? So I think what we really wanted to do as a panel is really to look at, we curated all the questions that came, and over a very hard work of 3 nights, no sleeping, have to ruminate. I ruminated over 3 days, my last 3 days, right? So I back some evidence, over like, how else can we then impart the knowledge? Because as much as substance abuse is an issue, okay, that's happening among the young people and even adults, right? What also needs to balance on the other end, I'm not doing 6-7 by the way, that's why I purposely change hand, is also because it changes the way we work. Psychologists, counselors, youth workers, social workers, as long as you have clinical work, direct facing, right, it impacts the way you work. So today what we want to do is have nuggets of truth into how we look at the trends, slightly into the trends, we look at what the challenges, we also look at the interventions that might work, and then some of the what happens behind rehab doors, jang, 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 will fall under VJ. Okay, so we're going to try to squeeze that in 25 minutes. Then I give you 5 minutes to walk down, take a tea break, then we have the next panel. So I guess for a start, I wanted to ask Chris this question, right? Among all the drugs, right, like in the last 5 years, has there been a change in trend? Because my time is called gum, opium, yeah.
So drug abuse changes with the times. So just like drug changes, just like Uniqlo fashion changes. Okay. So the current most abused drug in Singapore is ice, methamphetamine. Okay, the number arrested for methamphetamine based on CNB statistics last year is almost twice or 3 times that of the second most abused drug, which is heroin. In fact, if a young person says, "Oh, I'm using heroin," everyone look at him, you're so old-fashioned. Yeah, because it's really not particularly fashionable anymore. The heroin abuser tend to be the older people. and they tend to be that generation of people lah. For young people, the first serious bad drug they try is typically cannabis lah. This is how it comes into their system. The reason is because on the internet there's a lot of misinformation about cannabis. Some places Thailand legalized cannabis. You can go to Bali for mushroom, which is synthetic cannabinoid. And then Netherlands decriminalized cannabis. All sorts of misinformation is out there on cannabis. So people are curious about it. On Netflix, you can see some shows where they show people smoking weed and things like that. So all these influences the young person.
Okay.
Yeah, but just to say a few truths in the limited amount of time that we have here. First principle is that when you deal with people with addictions, expect them to relapse. Okay, they'll relapse quite a few times before they get better. Second truth is that the majority of them will stop at some point. Okay, so it's just that when they're ready to stop, then that's where we come in. But along the way, you may be helping people who are half about it, want to stop, cannot stop, want to stop, cannot stop. Just know that this is the process of recovery. Don't say that, oh, I'm a lousy mental health worker, I failed, no, and then you burn out after that. That's not true. It's because this is the nature of recovery. But eventually, at some point, they will stop, okay? And they stop because of many reasons. Firstly, some of them say, I'm too old already. I see his face. I no more energy to run away from him already. So they say, I want to stop. Did I offend you? Yeah. Second reason is because they finally found that someone to love. So love is a drug. So maybe find a partner, and the partner says, I don't like you when you are high. They find a reason to stop. Thirdly is because, of course, they found some purpose in life. Some of them were like walk on the street, then light shine on them. Then they say, okay, I found the faith, and they stop. So many reasons. There's no 10-year series answer. That's why you want to take the exam for addiction exam are very easy. Anything you write, probably you can get 2 marks. Yeah, because there are many ways to stop. Many reasons for them to stop. Okay, and for me, I'm just one reason only, but there are many other reasons for helping them to stop. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, before we go to one example, take note, one example, okay? I need to ask, is there a magic pill or not?
No, there's no magic pill.
No magic pill to stop it, because I know previously in halfway houses they will give you an anti, right?
Okay, maybe let me just share this a bit. There used to be called methadone replacement therapy. So in many of the Western countries, including Hong Kong, they used to have what we call methadone clinics. So these are supposed to actually help you to overcome your addiction to heroin, because heroin is seen to be a worse drug that is even more addictive. So methadone is like halfway house. Halfway, you are still dependent on a drug, but not as severe. And then the hope is that after that methadone program, you would actually be able to wean away yourself completely. So all this is actually hoax, right? I mean, I 40 years of experience, you can take it from me. All this is hocus pocus. There is no such thing as a pill being a panacea or a silver bullet. We too are no exception. We too had the experience of Subutex. I don't know how many of you recall, all right? Subutex was marketed by the manufacturer, Schering-Plough, as a drug that actually is capable of weaning people away from heroin, opiates. All right? And then much and lo and behold, when it was introduced here, it was not listed as a control drug, which means doctors can actually prescribe. And do you know what happened? It created a black market. It created a secondary market. So there were people who were going, buying pills, and then cutting it into half or 1/4 and selling it off. And they never kept to the schedule. There was no checks. So much so, it started to introduce what we call the needle culture. Needle culture in Singapore was started during the heydays of heroin. All right? I'm an old man, so it's an old man's drug. That's what Chris is saying. Now the young man's drug is different, right? But the thing is, needle culture is very, very dangerous and damaging because in a Singapore context, all our children go to the playground. Can you imagine drug addicts, after using the needle, just toss it in the playground? And who is going to become the victim? So there were a lot of complaints to the MP. At the MPS sessions were all flooded with complaints against Subutex. So much so, we took a very serious study and realized that actually what is being marketed is contrary to the lived experience among our population. They were saying that in Europe it helped, but who is to check the statistics? All right, and what kind of group did they actually do this study on to show that it's actually effective? So the government decided to list it as a controlled drug and make sure that it is no longer available through the clinics. And in Singapore, the strange thing is this, much as we may not want to agree, the fact is that in law, we trust. Everybody else must bring data, right? The faith in terms of our law enforcement and the way in which we go about enacting law, we make sure that it is actually after very, very high-level deliberation and weighing of all the evidence. And only when we find that through lawful intervention, you can actually help to reduce the problem, then we introduce. So when the overnight, I was leading the operation, in overnight we had to do 24 hours operation to make sure there was no Subutex that is illegally available.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so what I'm
So-
hearing is also don't have lah.
They don't have, there is no
But the
such
law-
thing as a silver bullet.
Okay.
And if anybody would advocate, it's probably you've got to check their background. They are manufacturers of the drug
Okay.
and they're trying to get a market share.
They're not here, don't worry. So you don't have to arrest them. Okay, so I'm turning my time now to Moses because time is flying. So Moses, you know, just now as you were talking, right, and then you were sharing about all your what methamphetamine, ketamine. Then I heard another one called aramine, right? Then I had one question in my head. How come you never take vitamin? Also mean what, right?
No more money to
Huh?
take vitamin already. All the money spent on drugs.
Oh, okay. So no, it was just like one of those like, yeah, maybe I should ask him to do take vitamin. Okay. So I guess, you know, based on what was shared just now, right? People are wondering like, what's the story like? What's the story of recovery like? You know, what made you stop? Because there are certain factors. You say it could be social, could be age, lack of motivation, no strength already to run away. Yeah. You know, could be what was it for you?
Okay, I think it's a mixture of all those factors. I got caught multiple times. I'm not too sure whether I got caught by Mr. VJ before, but I got caught by CMB multiple times, and then also went to prison, and then also age was one of the factors. So I think I reached a point at 30 years old, then I start to sort of wake up. And then also another thing was because of the panic attacks and anxiety that I was experiencing, I could not breathe, could not function without alcohol or any prescription medicine. I cannot even go out of the house without any of this prescription medicine. So that was the turning point. And there was also one time when I was playing a meth, and then unknowingly I was standing on a ledge. I think after 2 or 3 days on the drug, I was standing on a ledge outside my friend's house, a 12-story house at Bedok Reservoir. And I didn't know that I was walking on the ledge until my friend came out to pull me in. So I think it's a combination of these factors. And also there was once I took ecstasy and then I slept for at least 24 hours. And when I wake up, my hand couldn't move for a few months, and I think it was I slept in an awkward position for too long, and then the nerves were affected. So I think it was a combination of a few factors.
Okay, thank you for that. So as you hear, I mean, in summary, you hear there is no magic cure, right? And I think as workers, if you really want to find out what works, what doesn't work, right, you will hear there are environmental factors that comes into play. There are historical factors that come into play when we talk about what's behind the behavior, behind the addiction, what's the pain. Dr. Winslow was saying that, right? And if you hear, there's also, you know, I guess developmental? Because if you can't make right choices from the start, and no one is there to teach you how to make right choices, culminate with you have poor social friends, you tend to walk into it. But how to get out of it? Strangely, I've never considered age as one of them. Because I think, why age? Because if it's built a certain addiction in your head already, it's like a pattern of behavior, right? Why would age come in?
I think it's about the brain, see. This morning I hear Nicholas talk about neurodevelopment. I always like to bring things back to everyone's own lives. I mean, if you remember what you were like as a teenager, right? You wanted to try new things, you wanted to have thrill, you wanted to, try every flavor that there is, all the different gong cha there is to try, all the different ice cream flavors there is to try. That was just the way the teenage brain works. And so people are thrill-seeking. People want to say, oh, then your friends say, hey, this is not very good, this is not very good. Then you go and try. You're very susceptible to influence, and you're curious, and all this put together fans this enthusiasm to try new things. Then after that, then what about the braking system, which is your judgment and frontal lobe? It's not developed yet. You cannot have this judgment. How many times the young people will just blurt out something just on impulse, but then later on they live to regret it. You think of yourself, how many of your classmates last time you call, hey, you big coconut, you fatty boy, you skinny girl. Then last time you can say all these things. Now we don't say all these things because at the time we were young. Whatever comes out just comes out. It's the same thing. They cannot have this ability to control at a teenager, young adult level. Yeah. And I also want to bring back the struggle of these addicts to each and every one of you out there. Just think about yourself and your TikTok behavior. Whether you can even stop your own TikTok viewing for even 3-4 days, at a time. Short of going off to some army camp, reservists or whatever, that they force you to stop. But in your everyday life, how difficult it is for you to stop? Those people who play Candy Crush Saga, how difficult is it to stop playing Candy Crush or any equivalent of these games? This is just a very simple illustration of the struggles of some of these people who have addiction, because these are the things that we do ourselves that we find it hard to stop. Multiplied by 100 times because that particular substance, especially meth. Meth is highly addictive. Meth, on paper in my textbook, it tells me it releases 100 times the amount of dopamine in your brain compared to sex. Okay, so that's how addictive methamphetamine is. And many of our addicts tell me that, oh no, you must know, all of us are recovering people. We don't even think of sex anymore, because the experience of meth and heroin and all that is so much more shook that sex is nothing already. I know young people think sex is everything. Now I'm telling you, sex is nothing.
You know, he's nodding also. So I noted. Then I said, verified.
Moses, you want to talk about?
Yeah, Moses.
Yeah, I
Moses,
think math.
there are children here. Cannot talk too much about sex.
Oh. Yeah.
Later traumatize them.
But I think math a lot of people use, and once you smoke it, you can feel very close to the person next to you. And I think the sexual drive is very high. And I think you can get into a lot of casual relationships. Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
So meth facilitates sex.
Well, I mean, it's not that. It's just that it just releases a whole lot of dopamine in your brain. And of course, the one that is a pro-social drug is actually ecstasy. People feel close, more social when you're on ecstasy. I say this from textbook. Yeah, but this is what it does. Yeah.
A naughty thought suddenly came, although MSF is nearby. Government tried to promote relationship, right? Can develop a non-addictive meth, put in the medicine like that. Then our population will boom already.
But I also want to bring up this point.
Son says no.
Do you know what the modern drug addict looks like? You know what the modern drug addict looks like in Singapore? In the 70s, MHA always have this advertisement for heroin. This guy in the corner, puking, shaking, having diarrhea inside a dark corner. That was the advertisement in the 70s and 80s for heroin. Do you know what the modern day meth user looks like? No? Yeah. Look left, look right. Yeah, it looks like any one of us. It looks like any one of us, really. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then last time they used to have this byline, you use heroin, then you come unemployed, then you're again back in the alley shivering and thinking. That was the messaging last time. I can tell you today, where I work, all my drug abusers all can afford their meds, all can afford their drugs. Why? They are doing Food Panda, Grab Delivery, Lala Move, and everything. Everyone can go and earn their $50 to $100 a day, and then another 50, 60 bucks goes into their meth. This is first world problems, but it is what it is. Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you take drugs, you cannot work, right?
No, many of them on meth, especially the low-level users. I'm not saying it's a right thing, but that's what they use it for. They say they use meth at low levels to keep them going because they feel, if you're a Lala Move or a delivery person, they usually have a schedule and they need to meet the schedule. Or they want to have more energy, so to speak, so they can do more deliveries. That's what they tell me at least. Yeah.
Oh, thanks for that. So we're going to move on to the next one. What goes behind closed doors? Because how many of you have walked into a rehab? Or one, right?
Nobody has been to prisons.
Has anyone been into prison?
Not as a prisoner. Talking about
Visit.
learning journey.
Same guy. Okay, so maybe let's hear. Okay, majority never, right? Let's hear. First-hand story. What's the highlight? Not the highlight. What was your most vivid experience while working in a halfway house?
Right. Of course, a halfway house is provided for people who are going to serve the tail end of their prison DRC stay. Right. So if you're a hardcore addict, you can be inside for 3 years, and then you can come to us for the last 1 year or 9 months, and so on. So people come to the halfway house anything between 6 months to 1 year, which is the tail end of their stay in prisons. So they still come under the purview of prisons. In other words, they still have to respect all the prison rules. But at the same time, they are given the opportunity to stay in a halfway house, which is like semi-freedom, right? So you have the chance to leave the halfway house in the daytime to go to work or to go for training. And for any other appointment, medical appointment, family emergency, and so on and so forth. So it's not restrictive, you're not captive, you're partially captive. Why? Because at the end of the day, by 7 p.m., you must come back to us. So we give you that chance, all right? Unlike prisons. Prisons, 24 hours you stay inside. Now, in the halfway house, the most important component of the halfway house is the relationship that the operational officers have with the resident. We do not call them inmate anymore. They are residing with us, so we call them residents. All right? Now, the fact is that we are trying to normalize you to how you will be treated or how you expect to be treated when you are a free man. Nobody wants to call you, hey, prisoner, hey, addict. All right? You want them to call you by a name or friend, brother, whatever it is. So that's how we try to, what we call a step-down approach. So there is discipline, there is structure, there is control, but everything is calibrated so as not to show up. You conform, you behave, we want to be the last to remind you of your past. So the relationship is very, very fundamental. I spoke to a prison officer who just did his master's in terms of what factors actually contribute to the success of halfway houses. And he said that all the literature points to the fact that the relationship, the bonding, the affinity, all right, with the operation officer is very important, because what they are looking for is a sense of dignity. They have been dehumanized, humiliated, embarrassed for a long time. And all of a sudden, where they can get some sense of dignity, recognition, a decency in terms of relationship, they are craving for that. So that's what we need to actually help to fill that void that they feel. Then, of course, you need to have family intervention in terms of bringing the family in, all right, so that there is some kind of a bonding and a unity, all right, giving him a sense of purpose that I have somebody by whom I'm related through marriage or through blood. So that's the involvement of the family is very important in terms of reintegration subsequently when he leaves us. Because then we are not the family anymore. The halfway house is no longer the family. The family is his real family. So then you may ask, but then what happens if the family rejects him? Of course, many a times, because it's no fault of the family, the children grew up without knowing who the father is. Or the father was never around during the critical stages of their development, whether in school and so on. The wife, mostly it's the men who are the offenders, the wives have become very tired of seeing the husband go in and out and not raising a hand to raise the family. And now all of a sudden, at the age of 60, you want to come back and reposition yourself as the head of the household. Sorry, Joe. All right? So a lot of rejection takes place. So we need to become midwives, intermediaries, to try to assuage the long-felt hatred, disregard, disrespect, and try to bring about some change in order to give this person some chance of having a home to call, after which the reintegration part takes place. So there's a lot of pain. Nothing is easy, I can tell you for sure, whether it be it as a law enforcement officer, as a halfway house, and of course, even the experience of others, it is, you have to be there for the long haul. And most of the times, it will be rejection.
Can I ask you one question? We are talking about family is important. I mean, one of the questions that the people have asked will be like, how can family actively engage? So are there instances where family actually are willing, but the people say no? The recovering person says, no, I don't want my family. Then how do we encourage family to continue to persist? Because we know that the family environment will still be the place that they have to go back to. Have you encountered?
Frankly speaking, it's the other way around. It's the family rejecting. Okay, after such a long stay away on their own, now they know they're on the cusp of release. And with the hope, or at least the intention, to stay drug-free. In other words, they have become tired. So one of the questions that was posed is, why do they stop? They have become tired of running from law enforcement, of being subjected to all the rules, strict rules, Spartan environment of prisons. They just have become tired. All right. So the fact is that most of the time is the reverse. All right. Almost all. The family is rejecting. So we need to actually try to create that bridge or that bonding in order to bring them closer.
So some work for your family still needs to be done. Maybe to heal, for families to heal, for families to come to terms. That, this is forgiveness, maybe, in terms of faith and all that. That's where it comes in. Or maybe acceptance commitment therapy can come in to recognize that this is, while this pain has happened, but there's also a possibility for reconciliation.
So beyond counseling the resident, we also end up counseling the family into acceptance. It's not an easy thing, all right? Because the pain is real. And
so maybe since this is an educational forum, maybe I just want to tell you a little bit about some of our national policies. I don't speak from a position of authority, it's just that this is my experience. Some of you all may not know that every entry into DRC is not a prison center. You don't have a prison record. Going to DRC is not a prison record. Okay, it's just an entry into DRC. As far as I know, the first sentence is about 12 months, 6 of which is spent in DRC in Changi prison, and the other 6 may be a community-based program. And I think currently the second DRC sentence is 18 months. And then it has moved on to DRC 3, DRC 4 for recurrent sentences. And that the length of these sentences are based on the risk factors, whether this guy is hardcore, not so hardcore, got family support. Right? So there's no number I can tell you, which I actually asked them before, then they refuse to tell me a number. Yeah. And then for those recurrent users, they're put under what we call a mandatory aftercare scheme, whereby they'll be supervised for yet another year in one of the, I think, Selarang halfway house. Yeah, so this is kind of a national system for substance abuse. The other thing I just want to emphasize to everybody, especially you're working in mental health, is that many of these young abusers. Drug abuse is an addiction. It's a problem of men. Okay? 9 out of 10 people in Changi prison are guys. 9 out of 10 people who come to my center are guys. So largely it's a problem of men. Why? Because men like to have thrills. Okay? Women like to drink high tea and then chit chat, relate. So a lot of good things, right? But guys need to have all the thrills and dopamine.
Cut the mic now. No, I agree that boys tend to be a bit more impulsive.
Yeah.
Women are smarter because when we are feeling the thrill, right, we just buy MS bag lah. The thrill.
It's a different type of behavioral addiction.
It's
The
the
other
thrill.
seminar. Yeah.
So maybe more women there, behavioral,
Yeah, but
Buy gold ring, buy this, buy that. You see?
But these men, when they come to us, sometimes they really act tough, lah. They really act tough. When I worked in DRC for 3 years as the head of prison psychiatry, So I was in B5 and S1 as the psychiatrist there. Many of them really act tough. But actually, deep down, many of them have told me privately. Actually, they have actually got low self-esteem.
They're curry puff.
Huh?
They look outside very tough, but inside they're curry puff.
Yeah. Because why is it that they have low self-esteem? Because they know there are many losses in life. They know they kind of like messed up their early days. They have lost a lot of relationship, and compared to their classmates, they are not there with them. So this is something that we must be aware of when we relate to them. And I just want to emphasize again, as mental health workers, whichever agency you're with, the most important factor in your work is your relationship with the client. That's the most important factor. We already said I don't have a magic pill to offer. All I have is myself to offer in my relationship, my respect for the individual, and I know I kind of understand his struggles, and I still choose to relate to him. Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to, besides, part of the intervention umbrella in Singapore, we have heard, you have the rehab. You also have, the different laws that guides it, right? We're going to hear from Moses. What, based on your experience, right, what interventions work best for you?
So for me, I went through the intervention through a clinic, whereby the doctor wants me to continue doing my work or studies, or to let me manage my relationship with my family and friends at the same time. At the same time, he will guide me through this process while administering medicine and therapy to me. So whenever I have a relapse, I will just let him know. He will just ask me come down to the clinic. He will talk to me a little bit and then ask me to go back and rest. So he provided me a safe space to be vulnerable and to let him know when I relapse. And I am very grateful because I was able to do that multiple times. Of course, I also tried my best to stop taking the drugs. Then he also helped me to identify that actually I am trying hard to stop the drugs, but then I have other triggers like drinking alcohol, especially during festive seasons, where I start to celebrate and then I lost myself, and then I was offered the drugs. And then I took the drugs when I was low in defense. And also through that model, I was able to share with him my stresses that I have with my family, my work. At the same time, I also found a community in church. And also I started to do triathlon, and I have a community in triathlon, and the coach gave me a structured workout every day. So it builds structure into my life again. It builds discipline, and then it builds a healthy lifestyle. I quit smoking, quit drinking. I start to sleep early and wake up early. So I think it's a combination of exercise, intervention from psychiatrists and the therapists, and also from church. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, right, before we end. If you relapse, right, what made you keep coming back? Because Chris was saying, guys were macho, What made you keep going back to the same? I mean, you can go, you paiseh, go to another one, or maybe I give up. What made you? Because I hear relapse, I keep going back. What motivated you to go back?
Because I can see that every time I see that doctor, I'll try my best to break free from drugs. Then every time, even one day I'm free from drugs, right, I'm also very happy. Then 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Then after that, a few months. Then after I relapse. then I'll feel down again. But then I know that that I can make that progress. I've done a few months without drugs. So, but then I know that it's an addiction, so no matter how you tell me I'm going to jail, I'm going to lose my family, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose everything, but I don't know why I still take the drugs. So I see the progress.
I'm just
Yeah.
curious, what made you go back to the same doctor?
Oh,
Was
same
it
doctor.
mandatory? You know, was it like
Oh.
DRC? It's the same doctor you went to, right? The clinic?
Because he didn't expose me. He kept it a secret.
Ah.
Yeah.
So all the workers here, shh.
Yeah.
Because must we report whenever?
Just to put it in context, because I work in the public healthcare service, there is something called MDR 19, I think. It's e-notif, and it obliges me to report. So it's not that I want to be goody two-shoes, or it is something that the law requires me to at IMH. But I think he probably went to private sector, and of course, if his doctor chooses not to, then I'm not going to say anything. You think I want to report, man? But then the law says so I can't help it. Because I work in public healthcare. Yeah.
Let me just add, there is a requirement, an obligation to keep the CNB informed. It doesn't mean the CNB will raid you or will come and arrest you. They will monitor, all right? And if you suddenly they realize that actually notification from this clinic is many, they may want to know why. All right? So there will be still that aspect of appreciating the fact that this person is seeking treatment and the doctor has intention to do his best to try to turn this person around. It's the same way that we arrest and send them to DRC. What is our hope? That you change. That's all. Right? We don't have any specific or magical potion to change you. So you go through. So here the requirement is, Chris is right, there is an obligation, but I have checked with my counterparts, and the aim of the MDR is to keep us notified so that we do monitor which are the clinics that are offering this.
I mean, to be fair to CNB, CNB doesn't come and kacau me at IMH. They're very respectful of my clinic and my ward and all that. I do instead sometimes call CNB because someone, one of the patients, go and beat up my staff, go and beat up other patients. And when they beat them up or they smuggle drugs into my ward, then that's when I call CNB, and then they come and do the CNB thing. Yeah, but other than that.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. Other than that, they are very respectful of the healthcare system.
I now know why I have to sit between the two of them, between 2 and 1, This side law, this side shh, So in closing, okay, we only got 1 minute left. In closing, in summary, thank you for being very active participants. Only 3 people fell asleep. So there's a feat, okay, there's a feat. We're not going to single you out, but later my boys, some people will hum-tum. No. But what we are hearing, okay, if I can sum it up for you nicely, would be that there is a range of help available. From the government, down, laws to protect, okay, laws to help change, down to the private, laws to protect, and laws to persevere. And I can tell you there's no going to be one fit. Okay, it's not going to be so simple where, oh, I'm a drug addict, here's a bag. Okay, step A failed, goes plan B, plan C. It's not. Each one of us here, we work, right? We're going to work in tandem. Substance abuse is complex. Okay, it's not a single track thing. It's multifaceted. And so it requires a MDT, a multidisciplinary team to come in. If you hear what he said, there were meds, there was encouragement, there was no fear that he would be reported. It gave him that space. He needed that safe space. See, look, counselors here all nodding, right? We all know that. But how then can we be that perfect one person? The answer is no, never. Because he still needed family. He still needed his social friends. So we need to have that mindset. There's multifaceted treatment, and you may not meet all, but if you can connect an individual with substance abuse, recovery, to all these resources, and then help him hold that space, and wait for him to grow old, okay? Age seems to be one. Wait for him to grow old, you will get him in a better space. So I think what we really want to do today is to really encourage everybody to not give up, because there's no silver bullet. It's in the long run, but the key thing is keep on keeping on.
Just to say that if I'm public healthcare, so no need to earn money one. Not saying no, I need to break even, sorry. But what I'm saying is that if you know of someone who needs help and in this addiction world, you can walk into NAMS any working day before 11 o'clock. We'll get someone to see the client, okay? And especially for K-pop related issues, from now to end of August 2026, government is paying for treatment, so it's free of charge.
Free.
It's free of charge, yeah.
Until 20?
Until end of August this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cannot use CDC voucher, right?
No CDC voucher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Free,
It's free of charge. Yeah.
After that, okay.
Let me just add one important thing. In Singapore, the law is very firm, very strict, because it sets boundaries, it communicates seriousness. And why? Because public safety is at stake, right? Very simple. The fact is that while the law is strict, the government attaches equal, if not heavier importance to rehabilitation. These are not criminals. There is a whole host of reasons, mostly structural, whether it's family instability, parental substance misuse, peer delinquency, peer support, peer influence, all right? Or even socioeconomic deprivation, right? And so on and so on. And I think there's also one more other factor, which is the untreated mental health condition. So there is a whole host of conditions that push people to take drugs, over which the government has no control. But once you come to our attention, it is our duty to ensure, together with the community, to try and turn you into a new leaf. So there's a lot of faith and hope on rehabilitation. And everyone, whoever is involved, is actually doing a noble job. We appreciate that and recognize that. That's why the government comes repeatedly again and again to encourage the VWOs or the SSAs to actually think of new programs, think of innovation. I was at the prison's change of command ceremony. You know, they have changed the commissioner. They've got a new commissioner, not changed the commissioner. New commissioner, all right? And the outgoing commissioner was relating they have hundreds of volunteer groups as part of their care network. And all these are people who are actually volunteers from VWOs, NGOs, SSAs. We are all out there to help. So that goes to show the recognition in terms of rehabilitation is very strong and here to last. Law enforcement is just one part of it to keep away the supply of drugs, to keep away traffickers, but not in terms of taking care of demand reduction. I think we depend on you more than what we can do as part of the government.
And you can never take the law enforcement out of the man. Okay, in ending, what are the 4 magic numbers you must call? Very good. Now you must give me commission, you know. Okay, we are going to end off.
Thank you so much, panel, for an inspiring